Thank you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Stefanik from New York.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would
and
assume you'd know
policies
it's
and laws.
Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part
No,
of
I'm
your
asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
Wow. You just watched that exchange. Representative Elise Stefanik absolutely grilling Governor Kathy Hochul on her sanctuary state policies. Now, before we dive deep into this, let me just say, this is the kind of accountability we need more of in government. Stefanik didn't come in with cheap shots or political theater. She came armed with facts, with real-life cases, with a kind of emotion that comes from standing up for New Yorkers who have been let down. What we just saw wasn't some viral stunt. It was a sound of frustration from millions of citizens who are tired of politicians choosing ideology over safety. And you can see Hochul's reaction, evasive, defensive, and totally disconnected from what's actually happening on the ground. Stefanik came with names, victims, crimes. Hochul came with rehearsed talking points. That contrasts everything. Stick around, because in a moment I'm going to break down exactly why Stefanik's line of questioning hit so hard, and what it reveals about the dangerous gap between political promises and the reality of New Yorkers lives today. Before we get into that, though, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Civic, and drop a comment down below. Speech balloon, do you think sanctuary policies help or hurt public safety? I really want to hear what you all think after this one. All right, let's get into it.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Ms. Stefanik from New York.
Thank you. Governor Hochul, on your first day in office, you signed Executive Order 1. Is that correct?
I believe it is.
And you extended this executive order not once, not twice, but 3 times, most recently January 16th this year. Is that correct?
If that's what your facts show, I signed countless executive orders.
I would
and
assume you'd know
policies
it's
and laws.
Executive Order 1. And this is a continuation of your predecessor's sanctuary state policies, correct? Is included in that.
I want to be sure we are defining sanctuary state properly.
I'll define it for you. It is the policy of the state that state officers or employees shall not disclose information to federal immigration authorities for the purpose of federal civil immigration enforcement. It goes on to say, law enforcement officers may not use resources, equipment, or personnel for the purpose of detecting and apprehending any individual suspected or wanted for violating a civil immigration office. Law enforcement officers have no authority in the state of New York to take any policy action solely because the person is an undocumented alien. That's a quote in your executive orders that you extended. Now, do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to get back to the first part
No,
of
I'm
your
asking a question. Do you know who Sakir Akan is?
I want to make sure you understand that this simply says that we will cooperate with ICE.
No,
in
it does
all-
not say that. I read what it says, and let me talk to you about the results. Do you know who Sakir Akan is? You should, as the governor of New York State. Do you know?
Refresh my recollection.
He was an illegal migrant in New York. And do you know what crime he committed in addition to being here illegally?
No, I do not.
You do not. This was widely reported. He found a 15-year-old girl, threatened her with a metal pole, told her to get into the back seat of his car. He took her clothes off, and he violently raped her in Albany, New York. Do you know who Sebastian Zapita Khalil is?
I'm sure you'll tell me there's many cases, whether they're
These are
here-
high-profile cases.
Yes.
New Yorkers know about them, and you don't. So let's talk about Sebastian Zapita Khalil. Do you know who that is?
I don't have the specific details at my disposal, no.
Well, this is an illegal migrant in New York because of your sanctuary state policies. Do you know what crime he committed?
I'm not familiar at this moment.
I bet you're going to be familiar when I remind you. He found a sleeping woman on the subway, lit her on fire, and burned her alive. This is in Kathy Hochul's New York. And as I'm sure you are aware, and I'll remind you, that ICE issued an order to detain this violent criminal, but that was rejected by New York officials due to sanctuary state laws. Now, do you know who Raymond Rojas Basilio is?
I just want to say this. These crimes are horrific.
Because
I condemn them,
because of
and I
your
would
sanctuary
say
state policies.
In all of these cases, we would work with ICE to remove
You
them.
did not in this case. They are
They need
walking
our
on the
assistance.
streets because of your policies and your executive order that you signed 3 times. Now, Raymond Rojas Basilio, do you know who that is?
I'm telling you this. I will
You don't
explain
know
to you
who it
the
is.
policies of New York. We cooperate with, I know you're just
You do
trying
not.
to.
You do not. Specifically,
Miss-
ICE was told not to detain this individual, and he burned a woman alive on the New York subways in Kathy Hochul's New York. So I will keep on going. What about Raymond Rojas Basilio? Do you know who that is?
I'm going to tell you our overall policy, which will address all this.
I'll tell
We
you
do
who
not-
that is. He is an illegal who molested an 11-year-old in our state because, again, of your sanctuary state policies. This illegal was shielded from federal immigration enforcement and able to commit this heinous crime. And what about Wilson Castillo Diaz? Do you know who that
I'm
is?
telling you this. We do cooperate fully with ICE in criminal prosecution. Our sanctuary
You're not advocating
regulations
for these victims.
only deal
This
with
is a
civil
5-year-old who
enforcement.
was raped
Civil
on Long
enforcement.
Island in Nassau County. You are not advocating on behalf of these victims. You are shielding illegals. Even in your opening statement,
That is
you
not true.
prioritize putting illegals first.
That is not
Rapes
true.
of young girls, beatings of NYPD cops by illegals who are here under Kathy Hochul's failed policies, burning New Yorkers alive. This is Kathy Hochul's New York. It's one of the many reasons why you're hemorrhaging support from hardworking New York
These are
families.
horrific crimes, and they're
They're
heartbreaking.
horrific crimes that are committed on your watch. You signed this executive order on your first day in office. You signed it again and again this January. We deserve a governor who stands up for law-abiding New Yorkers, doesn't put illegals first, but actually puts New Yorkers first. I appreciate
Rather than
the
going
chairman's-
after the viral moment, I suggest you
No,
look
no, no.
at the facts.
I'm standing up for New Yorkers.
No.
Rather than addressing the illegals in New York, you are prioritizing your far-left sanctuary state policies, which you put in place with executive orders. Instead of advocating for
cooperate
victims,
in all
a
those
5-year-old
cases.
who
We
was raped,
cooperate with ICE.
you did not. They were released
We
because
cooperate
of
with
sanctuary
ICE.
state
We
policies in New
cooperate
York
with
State.
law
No
enforcement.
amount of words is going to clean up your failed record and these horrific crimes committed in sanctuary state that you created. And with that, I
Your
yield back.
representation, the facts, are
Gentlelady
absolutely false.
yields back.
Absolutely.
Chair
Okay, let's talk about what we just saw. Representative Elise Stefanik absolutely laid out the receipts. She pressed Governor Hochul on Executive Order Number 1, an order signed on her very first day in office and extended multiple times since. And what does that order do? It limits cooperation with federal immigration authorities, plain and simple. Now, Hochul tried to blur that line. She kept saying, "We do cooperate with ICE in criminal cases." But here's the problem. The cases Stefanik cited weren't hypothetical. They were real, recent, and horrific. Let's walk through a few of them. Sarko Akin, accused of violently raping a 15-year-old girl in Albany. Sebastian Zapita-Khalil, burned a woman alive on a New York subway. Raymond Rojas Basilio, molested an 11-year-old child. Wilson Castillo Diaz, raped a 5-year-old on Long Island. All of these crimes were committed by individuals who, under federal law, should have been detained, but weren't because of New York's sanctuary state restrictions. Now, Hochul said these crimes are horrific, and of course they are. But what she didn't say is just as important. Why these individuals were still on the streets. Stefanik made that clear. These tragedies weren't random. They were preventable. This is why that moment was so powerful. Stefanik wasn't just arguing policy. She was giving a voice to victims who had been forgotten. While the governor danced around definitions, Stefanik spoke directly to the consequences. That's leadership. That's courage. And you could tell Hochul didn't expect that kind of precision. Every time Stefanik brought up a name, the governor's response was either, "I don't recall," or "We cooperate with ICE." But that's not accountability. That's avoidance. Let's be honest. New Yorkers are tired. They are tired of being told everything is fine while crime rises, and their leaders pretend not to notice. Sanctuary policies might sound compassionate in theory, but in practice, they've turned into blind spots that criminals exploit. And Stefanik wasn't afraid to call that out, right to the governor's face. You know, one thing that really stood out to me was the moral clarity she brought to the table.